Kellenberger here, Dustin Dopirak. We actually have an audience for tonight's Scoop Talk.
We do. There are some luminaries in the building.
In the building, Greg Rosenstein,
who's famous now.
Famous now for a very nice story he wrote about Jeremiah Rivers. So nice that ESPN decided to use it during their broadcast
without
tonight.
telling anybody.
However, they failed to actually credit Greg for finding new information out that no one else knew.
Right.
Terrible thing when that happens. Yeah.
Indeed. Also here are Ryan Wynn, Nathan Hart, and the one and only Chronic Hoosier. But
yes, he remains off camera.
Exactly. There's no putting him off camera. not yet.
Yeah, Dustin, we are sitting on the Indiana bench. Let's discuss the Hoosiers. I thought overall they played well tonight.
No, they didn't have a bad game. It was one of the, as we kind of said, I said in my game story, you probably said in your column, if they hit some shots, it's a different ballgame. I don't think they executed poorly. I mean, I think they did the best they could. Defensively, they kept Juwan Johnson from going crazy. He had 15. He averages about 21, 22. So considering that they don't have a matchup for him at all, they didn't do a bad job.
Yeah. And they made him do it at the line. He was 4 of 10 from the field.
Exactly, 4 of 10 for the field, which isn't a horrible day, which isn't a great day. He went, I think, 7 of 8 at the line, I want to say.
He did, yeah. 7 of 8.
Each one was 8 of 10, I think, at the line. He had 25. They didn't do a poor job of doing what, the biggest parts of the game plan, but those guys are going to get theirs, and they did. And Lewis Jackson got loose a little bit for 13.
Yeah.
And so it was a game that if they hit some shots, they could win. 67 points is not beyond this team. It just
Tom said the game was played at a pace that it wanted to be played at. A pace that would allow Indiana to be successful. Just as simple as when they were in a position to make a run, they just could never make the shots to make that run.
No, it's a strange position they find themselves in offensively. I mean, and I think Jordan Hulse's night was very indicative of that. I mean, he never. On a night when he's 1 for 5 from 3, when he knows he doesn't have it, he's never taken 15 shots. That's under previous normal circumstances that doesn't happen. I mean, he's taken 32 shots in the last 2 games. It took him the first 6 to get there this year.
Yeah.
This is not. He's having to play in a whole different position. It's obviously when you got the ball that much, it's got to do something to your legs. You're not going to shoot that well every night. You're going to be able to shoot at that percentage every night that he had been. So it's not like, okay, well, he's going to shoot 55% no matter what. No.
And they threw some pretty good defenders. Lewis Jackson's really quick. He's obviously undersized, but he's a really quick guy. He comes comes around screens very well. Kelsey Barlow's a big guy, a little bit of a matchup issue. I think each one guarded him a little bit. So, teams are definitely focusing on Jordan, where he was kind of the 3rd or 4th part of the scouting report. He's now right there at the top.
Yeah,
and the reality,
he is the top,
right? And the reality is that if Jordan's not automatic and Verdell Jones is not automatic, with Maurice Creek and Christian Wofford on the sideline,
where are you getting points?
This team has trouble scoring.
Yeah, I
mean, it needs to have that environment where, in that situation, it needs to be like it was in Michigan State, where everyone maxes out. Everyone, you got 8, I got 10, I got 9, you got 6.
Exactly. You're asking that from a lot of guys.
Right.
You're asking that from a lot of guys.
And that didn't happen tonight.
You need Matt Roth to be hitting threes. You need Sheehy and Oladipo both to be attacking. It can't just be 1 or 2 guys that are playing beyond themselves.
You need to get something
from
the post.
Yeah. Either Pritchard or Elston or Capital.
Yeah, theoretically.
Theoretically. It's just somebody. And that's just what it was. There was no, there wasn't any place that they knew they could get points tonight. I mean, there were guys that scored. She did all right. I mean, Hulse didn't have a poor game. He still had 13. Jones chipped in with 10, but there wasn't a lot coming from anywhere else. Those guys had to take a lot of shots to get there.
Yeah,
between the two, I think between the 3 of them, there was probably 30, maybe more.
Right, and look, the reality is Purdue scored 67 points, and 40 of them came from 2 guys who leave next year.
Yeah,
guys who are averaged since Tom Crean came here. In 4 games, Juwan Johnson and Twan Moore averaging 37.5 points a game. These guys are just absolutely destroyed in the air.
Yeah.
They're gone. And the Purdue team that is going to be on this floor next season is not nearly as good as this one. No. This is the high point. This is their last chance. This is where, this to me it's almost like when Illinois lost that group, Darren Williams, D. Brown,
yeah,
Luther Head, that group that went to the 05 title game. And we've now since seen what Bruce Weber can really do.
Yeah.
Where he's had to develop guys. Guys
Yeah.
just weren't like ready.
Yeah. No, you have this sort of like you just have these special groups. I mean, that's what
Right.
That's
Matt
really what
Matt
most
Painter
of the
got really lucky in that he had this group.
yeah.
And this group has revitalized that program, and they've done a lot, and they deserve a ton of credit for everything they've done at Purdue.
Sure.
But the reality is that group is still carrying the load, and you don't really know who's next.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think really the Big Ten in general is sort of built that way. There's a couple programs throughout, throughout the history of the league that have been able to have sustained success. I mean, Indiana obviously had it with Knight, and Michigan State's had it with Izzo.
Right.
But a lot of them have had these kind of rises and falls when you've had these.
Ohio State's had it for not even a full decade, but
Right.
they've had it.
Yeah, yeah. But it's always like it's different groups. It's got to be, it's rare that you can kind of sustain it. And a lot of times you're asking a group of 3 or 4 guys to carry a lot, to be that kind of, foundation, and Purdue's about to lose theirs.
Right.
So, and it becomes, okay, what happens
The challenge
next?
becomes either recruiting a new foundation or finding a way to win without one class carrying us.
Yeah. And there's not, I think if you look at what Purdue has on its bench, right now, there's a couple guys that I think are really good, but there's a couple guys that, are role players and are always going to be that.
Yeah,
at least that's what it seems like.
They're
You never know how
guys,
somebody
I described them as mostly cold and occasionally hot.
Mm-hmm.
They give you just enough where you go, well, maybe.
Yeah.
Like maybe Ryan Smith could be a really good player. Maybe
Yeah.
DJ Bird has Chris Kramer capabilities. Maybe Patrick Beatty could be legit starting.
Yeah.
But
I think
you
Tyrone
don't.
Johnson's legitimately a really good player.
I think
it's
he
different
is.
to see
I think
right
he's
now,
had a
but-
tough transition to college.
Yeah, I mean, but watching him in North Central last year, I mean, that guy can do a lot.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you're asking for a real increase in production for a guy who's shooting 34% from the field right now.
Sure. But it's going to be different, I think, when he's E20, or he's playing in that position at least. When he's
Yeah,
getting
but it's
E20
still
more
you're
minutes.
asking for a guy to go from this
Yeah.
to that.
Sure.
It wasn't
but
even so low. It wasn't even on screen. So I think
actually it was to the left.
It's
Is the
to
issue. Yeah.
the left. Okay. So we're gonna see a different rivalry. I think the next couple of years.
Yeah, no,
Indiana loses 2 points from tonight's game. Not to discount Jeremiah Rowe's impact. He's a great lockdown defender.
Yeah.
But
And they
it's
gained
different.
Cody Zeller and Austin Etherington.
Right. And
At least, if
right.
not more.
And look,
And
they got guys
possibly
like
healthy everybody.
right. Everybody, presumably everyone's healthy, and you gotta like the way Will Sheehy came in here and played. He did not make any friends in that Purdue locker room tonight.
No, not at all.
Like
No.
this is what I thought about during post game. If Will Sheehy played for Duke, would he just already be the most hated Dookie?
Oh, God.
Like he has that characteristic.
Yeah.
He's
but
like
what, though?
he's
I
like a
thought-
6'6" gnat.
Yeah, pretty much. That's exactly what he is. Now, I thought, although to be fair, I thought John Shire would be more hated than he was. I mean, I figured after Paulus, I thought Shire would
I
reach
think
a
the
new
problem
level.
the problem was Duke proclaimed Shire.
Yeah, maybe.
And Duke said,
Duke
John
kinda
Shire,
said,
you're gonna
hate John Shire.
And
it was
everyone
almost-
goes, we don't want to be told who to hate.
That's
We
pretty
want to
much what it
decide
was.
that thing for
Yeah,
ourselves.
exactly. We decide who we hate. I
No,
guess
no. We
John
hate Nolan.
Shire, I guess you're okay.
We hate Nolan Smith.
Yeah, because
We hate the Plumleys.
because we can't be told, despite the fact that John Shire seems eminently hateable, we'll pick somebody else.
Yeah.
But I think she and Oladipo, like talking about them in sort of a projecting fashion is
Right now,
is a strange thing to
they
do with this group,
project
'cause you
much
just
higher.
Don't know.
Right now,
You know?
though, I think you would say they project much higher for the rest of their careers than the freshmen and sophomores
On Purdue, yeah.
on Purdue.
I think so.
And
I think
that
so.
bodes well for the future
Sure.
of Indiana. It bodes well for
Absolutely.
the future of the rivalry because this game needs to get back. This rivalry needs to get back to where you don't know who's going to
Yeah.
win and where both teams are in the top 25.
Yeah. You look at those two, and I think at this point, you never know what can happen, but I don't imagine them ever being go-to scorers, the guy that you say, I need Will Sheehy
No, I
to
don't
have
think
the
so.
ball.
No,
But
I think he's
you're-
your 6'6"
You're
gnat
4
for the
years.
rest of his
I mean,
career.
those guys are 4 years of energy. Just
Yeah,
4 years of energy, of rebounding, of defense, of being able to get out and dunk on you in transition, and make a few highlight reel plays.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you ever say I want Will Sheehy to have the last shot or I want Victor Oladipo to have the last shot, but you want those guys for 4 years. They're going to make a difference for you. It's showing. This is another
more
game
and
where
more
it
and
showed.
more as we see this team mature, you really see their progression.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. As always, guys, thanks for watching. We'll be
Saturday
back
in Ann Arbor.
Saturday in Ann Arbor. We'll be listening. Is it the Get Up Kids that have the Ann Arbor song?
Yes.
Who'll be listening to that?
I'm
may
surprised you're willing to subject yourself to that. I will.
I mean, once in a while.
I'm kind of
just maybe twice. Maybe twice on the way to Ann Arbor. Once going back.
Last year with Columbus, like 8 times.
Well, that's enough.
Yeah, plenty.
That's too many.
Yeah.
All right, thanks everyone.